Record. Now Ashleigh Cicconi can talk. I forgot to hit record.
Thank you all. Thank you so much for inviting me here. I feel very honored, like the other presenters have said. And my route to music, in music, is very different, I guess, than the two perspectives you heard, and that I didn't want to do anything music. I was fortunate enough that just kind of happened to be my niche as a kid. I still very unathletic. And so music just kind of happened to be the thing that came quickly. Creatively, it worked. But I refused to believe that I was going into anything related to music in the field. I did the bulk of my performing in high school, actually. And as I was trying to figure out what route I was going to take going into college, I knew that I wanted to use my skills essentially to pay for college. I'm a sometimes very, very practical thinker in that regards, of knowing that I needed to make that happen. But for the longest time, was like, I'm going to be a medical doctor. I took AP Bio. In fact, I hate biology and love aspects of science, but discovered very quickly that some of the things that I'm really not good at and don't like might not work out so well should I have gone the medical doctor route. So trying to figure out what the heck to do, my mom stumbled upon music therapy, and it was just like, what in the world is this? I'm like, this sounds hokey. No thanks. And so I did a lot of research on that, and really come to find out, I was like, oh, well, if I go into a certain approach of music therapy, this could actually combine my love of science and my skill set of music. And so long story short, I was fortunate enough to study at University of Miami, where we focus on neurologic music therapy as one of our main approaches. Each college that offers a music therapy program, your professors will typically specialize in one approach. A lot of times you'll have, I myself don't only do neurologic music therapy. A lot of times we'll use an integrative approach, taking bits and pieces here and there, very much like a music educator would, in that you're going to take bits of Kadai and Dalcroze and Orff, depending on what the goal is and what the setting is. But I really like neurologic music therapy because I was able to really focus on aspects of the brain, behavior, body, and then also really integrating music. So before I go on, because you all, I know, have been kind of taking in a lot of information, I want to get information back from you. Mike is not allowed to answer because he's currently in my special topics in music therapy course. So he is forbidden from answering. So my question to you is this: what is music therapy? And you don't have to, if you don't want to, like Game of Thrones style, unmute, then you can put it in the chat. Chris, I want to hear what your ideas are. Dr. Cicconi is also not allowed to answer. Don't be afraid. This is when you get to participate. There are wrong answers, but right now there's no such thing as a wrong answer. Okay, good. We have two. There's more than two people in here. Haley, what do you think music therapy is? Oh, you just
I just typed it in the chat.
literally
I'm
just
teaching.
responded. Oh, fantastic. Okay. So maybe take one or two more ideas. And then I'm going to put Mike on the spot. No one else? Is everyone else Zoom fatigued or tired? Or
I was
scared?
typing my answer, but I was having so many typing mistakes. I'm just going to speak it out.
Go for it.
I'm saying music therapy is using scientific research to heal individuals in different capacities.
All right, Mike. Yeah. All right, so everything that's been said and in the chat. All right, Mike, are they right? Are they wrong? What is it? Here's your final exam. What is music therapy?
Oh, this is not what you said the final exam would be. I personally, I don't know. You see, I'm still like coming up with a definition, even taking the class. Like, it's such a flexible and diverse like field for you to do really what you want to do. I think, like, you can get super specific and specialized into like one specific thing, or you could just go to I don't yeah sorry. Or you could
Okay,
just,
so if
I'll just stop.
yes, no, you're not wrong. It is very much a versatile and very diverse and a very kind of hard thing, because you get caught up in the word music and you get caught up in the word therapy, right? So those two words by themselves have a lot of meaning and can look, feel really differently. When you put them together, then it's even more. So Mike, thinking about like when we talked about way back at the beginning, what are like the essentials that we need, right? So I'll help, I'll give you guiding questions. So are we looking at musical behavior and musical goals?
Not particularly. No.
Not particularly, no. Can anyone decide today that they're going to be a music therapist and tomorrow go out and be like, hey, I'm doing music therapy today?
Yeah, I think so.
You could, but would that be legal and like, no, right, okay. You could use integrative aspects of music therapy techniques, but to claim yourself as a music therapist without going through the training and the program, it would be, it doesn't feel that way, I think, just because of the connotation of music has that creativity, but it would be the same thing as going out and saying, all right, I know enough about the physical body. I'm a physical therapist now, right? It's not quite how that works. And so all of these things are correct. So music therapy is essentially using music to achieve non-musical goals, right? So I would never work with a patient and say, all right, I want you to sing better. At that point, I would become a music educator. So a music therapist is looking at things of, I want to improve your social interaction skills. I want to improve your emotional expression. I want to improve your state of relaxation. So we are always looking at the non-musical aspect. Where music comes in is knowing if we are targeting a goal that is movement based, then I know the part of the brain that needs to be activated is the motor cortex. So I know that I'm going to need to structure things very rhythmically. And there's certain techniques to do this. So it is, yes, very versatile, and it has a lot of possibilities and it looks differently, and it can be integrated into a variety of settings, but it is more complex than that. And so my route into music therapy was like, oh my gosh, all of this sounds amazing. I can essentially work with someone different every day. And so I worked as a clinician privately. I did a bunch of contract work. So I've been in the hospitals, I've gone to homes, I've gone to schools, and eventually I found myself in this realm of combining music education and music therapy. And so I had the unique opportunity of creating a program where we looked at academic skills and then utilizing music therapy techniques to improve academic skills. And for our Western culture, the way that we learn our alphabet is through the what? Someone call it out. You've all been too silent for too long.
Alphabet song.
The alphabet song, thank you, right? And so when you get stuck in knowing where your alphabet, like where your letters lie, you end up singing, like it just becomes ingrained into A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J. All right, and if you go, all right, what letter, what's like the fourth letter before S, right? The easiest thing to do is what? Yes, you could calculate it, but the easiest thing to do is like sing through. And I see some of you, those that have the camera on, are going, yeah, I'm definitely doing that right now. And that is something called music mnemonics. And if a music mnemonic is truly effective, the way the ABCs are, it is written with melody in mind, rhythm in mind, and you're looking at matching new information with something familiar. Yes, you learn the ABCs in our culture at a very, very, very early age. But at the same time, you're also hearing that same melody in at least 1 to 2 other songs that use that melody. So that melody is familiar to you, but it then becomes the vehicle for new information. And so I'll give you another example. When you are in about first grade, maybe end of kindergarten, but really first grade, sometimes reminders into second, you're learning punctuation, capital letters, okay? And it is very challenging to remember as a 6, 7, maybe 8-year-old, where are you putting your capital letters? To us now, it is ingrained through practice, repetition. But rather than doing the traditional old school way of things, right? There's a very easy way, and that's to pair something familiar, and I'm going to layer it with something new. And so what I did with this, I'm just giving you an example of a music mnemonic because I think a lot of you might use this and not know kind of that you're using this. And so we took a Lion King song that the students all knew the time that I wrote this song. And so we looked at what are the essential skills, where do we need to put a capital letter? So this is the new information, is where am I putting this enigma's capital letter in all of these different things? And so we took this song. So the song goes like this. Where do I put a capital letter when I sit down to write? And so I have the kids doing motions too, because it's always help, proprioceptive. Where do I put a capital letter when I sit down to write? And then we go, we, at the start of a sentence, right? We, at the start of a sentence. Then we go into the verse, but that's the chorus, okay? So if you think about it, then it becomes engaging. It doesn't become like this rote drill, right? But it becomes something that just kind of trickles in your brain, because it's not just one brain region being activated, it's all of these things happening simultaneously. And I'm sure many of you have heard the music is the best thing for your brain because it's so healthy and it activates all these things, but it's true. There have been a lot of fMRI studies that look at focusing on certain aspects of music and how the brain region response to that. And it's really hard because if you're focusing on just the rhythmic piece, yes, but a song usually has more than just one component to it. And the brain loves it because it's organized, it's structure. So these are all aspects that really kind of got me into music therapy. And while my route has kind of gone around music therapy a bit, it is a field that is continually growing. It continually needs advocacy because it does have this kind of negative stigma of, oh, we're just going to sing Kumbaya with our guitars around a circle and feel really great about ourselves, which is great. I'm not against that, but it is way, way, way more than that. And that's hopefully, if Mike's class gets nothing else, it's that there's a lot more layers to it. And so I want to show you a quick, it's 90 seconds. So before I say the words, I'm going to show you a video. It's a 90-second video because I can't, the thing that always kind of lights the, yes, that makes so much sense, is to see a session. But there are HIPAA laws around showing an actual therapy session, and I would never want to break those. So when you do see videos, just know that usually the client has given permission or their guardians have given permission. Okay, so we're gonna just watch 90 seconds. The background on this is that it is not with a child, it is actually with an elderly patient. And it's gonna kind of give you just a little bit of background. And all right, here we go.
Try it again. I'm Peter. I'm Peter. I'm Peter. How are you? How are you? Hello, I'm Peter. How are you? I am good. Thank you. How are you? You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray.
I love the hashtag music, it's science. Okay, so what the music therapist was doing there was the therapeutic singing. And if you notice at the beginning, it was just syllables. And so a lot of times with stroke patients, you'll have this inability to produce variants of sound. But because the brain is cross-wired and activates multiple regions, enters music. And so what he was doing there first was the therapeutic singing to engage him. Then he was doing what he called melodic intonation therapy. And so what melodic intonation therapy does, especially for stroke patients, is that it looks at taking the normal speech prosody, but because speech prosody and the prosody of melody happen and are processed in the brain the exact same way. But if I am also engaging these other parts of the region simultaneously by singing and listening to music, then I can just switch the route to reroute what I need the behavior to do and come from. And so melodic intonation therapy is really, really, really cool because that you saw at the end, I love it was like, listen to Peter now, right? I felt like we needed some grand music entrance, was that he was taking the music behavior first of singing functional phrases. But then what you didn't see was the gradual exit of that. And that's what happened. So it's not, very unlike a lot of other music classes. We don't want them to depend on music forever. We want them to use it as a tool for functional skills and improvement of daily living skills. And so eventually there was kind of the exit of music so that he wouldn't necessarily sing for the rest of his life, but he was able to engage and switch his intonation. But he's also, if you notice, he was moving his hand and his arm, right? So we're giving the proprioceptive input to tell the body, hey, I need you to move your mouth and activate at this tempo with this rhythm. And so music therapy is really awesome in that ways, but it's also very challenging because you don't necessarily have the same popularity as music performance or music education. And so I say this because our field is very different in that it is very heavily populated with women, and it needs more diversity in all aspects of gender, sexual orientation. So our field has been around for a long time, but it also still fights this stigma of, oh, you're just glorified music educators, things like that. Oh, you're just a music teacher. Oh, you just sing to make people feel better. And it's like, yeah, absolutely, I want to sing to make people feel better. But it is a lot more complicated than that. And what questions do you have? Before I pause or say anything else, questions, comments, concerns? All right, Mike, you're going back on the spot. No one said anything. You did not send an SOS text or like side chat to anyone. So, all right. So Mike, my question to you is this. So Mike is in my special topics intro to music therapy course. And so what we did one day as the stress of the semester hits, especially in a pandemic, is we did a songwriting activity. And so I think it was a lot of everyone was coming with similar experiences, in the same way that a group therapy session would be of you're typically paired in a group that there is some commonality. So everyone was kind of coming into it for the most part with some aspect of maybe frustration, stress, life, being a student. And so we took the song Don't Stop Believing and we rewrote that song with the goal in mind of emotional expression. And so Mike, my question to you is this, even though it was over Zoom, what was the outcome of that? And what was your experience with that? Or maybe looking at it like more, from like a class perspective of what did the class as a whole, what was the response like?
For the first one, we were really active. We went crazy. I would say we were changing lyrics, throwing out ideas left and right. Everybody was just throwing out ideas, just brainstorming. We were all like working together to try and find lyrics that would match better, or if say for example something didn't rhyme, somebody else would suggest something that did rhyme and maybe work better. And which personally I thought was like really great for helping us emotionally vent, uh and just kind of I guess bring us closer as a class because we're all kind of feeling the same general feeling. But I was one of the people that wrote about food actually, but uh, but
But
yeah.
no, but in that sense, when you were doing songwriting when there is some structure, and so what Mike touched on was the social interaction piece, which is really difficult when you're just a little box on a computer. or you're having technology issues and you can't see someone, but you know they're there. There's a different feeling where you are physically present in a room together versus you're just on the computer, and really many other things are usually happening all around. So there was this social interaction piece, this collaborative piece, that then really helped with the emotional expression, because we looked at not just the say what you're frustrated about, but it was like, so Mike brought in a topic of food, but like there wasn't there's a wrong answer. And so at the end, Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, there was definitely like this feeling of like, wow, a little bit has been lifted. We know it's going to come back, but for that moment in time, there was a lift of the anxiety. There was this, oh, I know that I can actually, it's okay to say that I really don't like this right now, and so that is definitely the magic in the field. And all of these things happen in a variety of ways, whether it's music performance, whether it's music education. Music therapy just takes its own route and really just focuses on a different component, instead of rather honing a skill set. It just looks at what is the science behind it supporting why I'm doing this. So that is my everyone should go into music therapy spiel. What other questions, comments, concerns do you all have? Haley.
What made you want to go into music therapy?
I didn't want to go into music, but I didn't want to, this is a very honest answer, I didn't want to have to pay for college. And so I found kind of a compromise of, well, if I stuck with music in some ways, but then took my love of science, then I can really do both. I was not built to be a music performer. I was fortunate enough to have the skill set that I could have gone into music performance. It just wasn't something that was driving me, and that I wouldn't enjoy long-term. And so I wanted aspects of the music performance. I wanted aspects of teaching. I really enjoy special education. And so I knew that I wanted to work with populations with disabilities, and mental health issues. And so that was kind of where life took me at that moment. I will say this though, that where you start out and thinking that you might want to do doesn't have to be the end all be all. My master's is not in music at all. It is in education and instruction and curriculum. My doctorate is in education leadership. So you're going to ebb and flow throughout life, and it doesn't have to be this is what I'm going to do for forever. I mean, Dr. Cicconi now found his niche, and so like music education, like that's his thing. Conducting is his thing. And so some of you may have your niche. Some of you may have several niches, and that's okay too. So it is okay to not box yourself into just one aspect of music or just one career. And I like the other two presenters you've heard, we've all had very, different life experiences. And throughout those, we took different paths. There wasn't like, none of us took this straight line path. I don't think that there's very few people, I think, in the world that have a straight line path. But with those curves along the way, you're going to gain so much perspective globally. You're going to gain so much more skill set that will make you really, more marketable in a career and really able to handle and take on more things. I know it's almost 5 o'clock on a Saturday. So I know everyone's kind of like, all right, cool, great, we're done. So thank you all so much. Thank you, Jackie.
And thank you, Ashleigh. If there is no more questions, just double checking just one last time. Doesn't appear like there are any. Um, if we could all either unmute or do the clapping emoji and just thank our 3 speakers for coming today, because this is just amazing to have them come and speak. So thank you to you guys.